So this is me just practicing before I paint a flower on a real painting. This is a painting that I did when I first started painting, and I didn't have the right recipes, but yeah, this is just a botched painting that I'm just using for practice. And this is how I practice sometimes doing the particular flowers that I want to incorporate into my paintings. So here I drew it on my stages. I drew it on my sketch pad there. And then I even practiced just a little flower on a paper plate just to see how it would look and the transparency that I was trying to get, because I wanted to see the underneath portion of my Botanical Dutch pour. I want to be able to see that shining through, like the leaves are more transparent. Kind of like how I did this with markers, and that was watercolors. But I did the watercolors just way too dark, and so the watercolors did not work the way I wanted it. But that was the idea that I wanted to kind of translate onto my canvas. And so basically first I started with a pencil, but the pencil was way too light and I couldn't do it with the pencil. So I went ahead and I marked it out and just drew it on here with this chalk marker. It's just a white chalk marker. And now I'm proceeding with taking some of my fluid acrylics, and this has Floetrol in it, so it's real loose, just like I would put on my painting. And what I'm doing is outlining where I made those chalk marks, just to give me an idea of keeping my lines for when I start painting it. And all of my leaves that I drew, they just all come back to the center of the flower, where the stem is with the flower. So that's the only thing you really have to remember, is making sure that your flower petals are all coming back to where they grew from, and that's the stem. And so I'm just going to proceed with outlining these leaves, and I'm not being too particularly careful about it. I will clean it up at the end, but I just want to make sure that those chalk marks, I know where they are. Otherwise I'll have to redraw it. But yeah, I just like to freehand it first and then just kind of outline it with a paintbrush. Pretty simple. But you can see those petals now pretty clearly. Some of the petals I want to have where they almost look like this one right here. I want to deepen the base of that petal where it kind of curves in. So I'll be just putting in a little bit deeper color there. But if you use the paint, like your pouring paint, you mix with your Floetrol, it becomes somewhat transparent and real light and airy on some of these colors. So that's why I'm using it like this. And there's my gold, which I'll be using for my petals also. So that's kind of the look and feel that I'm trying to go for right there. And we will walk through the process as we go through it. All right, so I went ahead and I took my gold with my paintbrush and I went ahead and made my first layer with this gold paint all over my petals, and it's just a very light, you can still see all the brush strokes. This is the ugly stage that I call it. And yeah, you just try to keep your strokes all in the same general location. I've already done all this, I don't want to have to paint over it, but you just paint right over it. While that is drying, I thought I would just take my chalk marker and I will just draw out another one. Maybe in this area. I'll just draw it right here. Can't really see that over there, but there's my flower. If you can see it, great. I can just quickly take my paintbrush and I'll just give it a quick outline to see exactly where we are. But this is how I do it. And the first time that you outline them, well, when I outline them, I really don't care which leaf is how I'm drawing it out. I don't look at which leaf is crossing over which at the beginning. But as I'm painting it and then outlining it and being more careful through the process, that's when I start to really decide, okay, which leaf is behind the other. Then you can add more dimension with that. Okay, I want to add not such an indent right there. But like I said, this is just practice. This is not going anywhere. This was what happened to this piece, unfortunately, is I didn't know from a long time ago I had to prime this piece, a piece of wood. I didn't realize that I had to prime it ahead of time, and I just used it as is, and that's why it didn't work for me. It actually warped and the paint cracked, and I could still use this piece of wood. I just have to sand off my design. I just haven't gotten around to sanding it yet. One day. But that's how I draw them. And so we have our little initial flower right there. I'll zoom you in so you can see it real quick before we go on to finishing up this one. All right, so there you are. There's the flower that we just drew on here. And that's how I do it, guys. And this one I can finish doing. So you start with a sketch and a design and just an idea, and you just translate it into what you want it to look like. That's how I work. That's how I create, and this is my process of how I do it. So I hope you enjoyed this little process. I'll continue to finish this one to see what it'll look like on this particular piece of wood. So yeah, I'll just continue. All right. All right, so I'm going to mix and use just a little bit of my burnt umber with my burnt sienna just to get a deeper hue for a little bit on some of the back petals. We'll see if that works. And I have to do the outlining several times, but that comes at the end. But I'm not going to try to be really perfect with this one because it's just not going anywhere. This is just the process that I take. If it was on a real painting, I'd definitely take my time and do it with more precision. So we can darken up certain areas, get some depth in there. But yeah, something like that. It's not completely done yet, but that's how I do it, and I thought I'd just share that with you. All right, so now that you've seen what I've done on this particular painting, this is the painting that I actually did paint on this canvas, and so this is how I practice first before I actually put it on a real canvas. So Here we are with this one. If you haven't watched this video and how I created this botanical Dutch pour, then I will link it up above so you can go back to it and see the process. So I hope you like this, guys, and leave me comments down below. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks a lot for being on my channel and watching my videos and supporting me. I appreciate your help. Bye for now. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are on this process, and if you have any questions, leave me comments down below. And until next time, I'll see you later.